we have a rare instance of alleged election fraud that is taking place. Pro-Biden effort offered Native Americans $25 to $500 Visa gift cards and jewelry to vote. Okay, this looks shady. Of course, with most of Donald Trump's fraud claims and most of the Republicans' allegations do tend are dismissible even on a cursory level, but this one might require a little bit more scrutiny. Rudy Giuliani right now is basically getting random people off the street to make an affidavit about whatever, and then he basically goes off on a tangent. Election fraud could have happened, but most of the allegations don't really allege anything. They say election fraud could have happened, and the ones where say election fraud do happen usually completely bunk. Like the myth that dead people vote. The myth that dead people vote is propagated because so many people don't understand how the election process actually works, and that even if you get the ballot of a dead person and submitted, it would be rejected at the time it would be cast. But anyway, pro-Biden effort offered Native Americans $25 to $500 Visa gift cards and jewelry to vote. Now, this article was written by Paul Bedard. You guys are so pathetic. Trump will lose by a lot. Maybe he'll open a MAGA church to keep the cult going. No, he's going to take over OAN. I don't see any claims explicitly that saying that this was a matter of election fraud. Does it? No, this article isn't presented with that much of a slant. But nonetheless, this article was written to fan the flames of the election fraud conspiracy. Now, I'll admit, at face value, this looks like electioneering. We have a pro-Biden effort, like some group. Maybe it's in the video here. We have the Biden-Harris bus. It looks like electioneering. Like you would be forgiven as the article is presented. You would be forgiven for coming away with the take that the Biden-Harris campaign gave incentive to a disproportionately Democratic voting demographic, to increase voter turnout in the state of Nevada, which, as we know, was one of the determining states in Biden's victory. People said that Nevada, it was Nevada that when Biden was at 264 electoral votes, and Nevada was the first to turn blue, Nevada was the state that was going to push Biden over and give him the victory. So Nevada, this is a heavyweight state. Well, anyway, at face value, this might be electioneering. Except the group that's responsible for pushing the pro-Biden effort isn't some bipartisan or third party. No. It is the Reno Sparks Reno Sparks Indian Colony, a native reservation that under law is a sovereign nation. Now, the thing about Native American reserves, on federal Indian reserves, however, only federal and tribal laws apply to members of the tribe. So, on these reserves, they don't necessarily have to abide by state laws. It's like a state in a state. Now, the election is a state-level affair. It's a state-level affair with federal consequences, I should say. To have this election on the state level, it's the state that has to curate, vet, and audit and ultimately offer accountability for any wrongdoing. Because the Native Americans are not susceptible to the state law unless Constitution permits, this isn't necessarily a matter of electioneering. So much and so that according to the Native American Voting Rights Act of 2019, it's even intended. in general. The Office for the Civil Rights Office of Justice Programs of the Department of Justice, referred to the section of the office, shall establish and administer in coordination with the Department of the Interior a Native American Voting Task Force grant program through which the office shall provide financial assistance to eligible applicants and to establish and operate a Native American Voting Task Force in each state with a federally recognized Indian tribe. Now, Reno Sparks Indian Colony is indeed federally recognized. Task Force Grant Program. Purpose: the Office of the Native American Voting Task Force Grant Program is to increase voter outreach, education, registration, turnout in the Native American communities. Now, you would be forgiven for applying the same casuistry as we do to normal states and normal elections, but in the case of reservations, some special considerations are offered by this by this bill, by this law, I should say. A bill, no, this is law. But anyway, this isn't illegal. In fact, here's another one. Here's another raffle intended to increase voter turnout. So, once again, an allegation meant to challenge the legitimacy of the election is completely bunk. This is not, even if it was, it's certainly not, even if it was, it's still not significant. They will never, ever concede that this election was valid and viable, because it's not meant to. And I'm kind of torn between the two opinions that maybe this is a paranoid, no, it's an authoritarian demagogue exploiting the paranoia of a vulnerable and base, or is it just an attempt to funnel money into Donald Trump's future campaign or his bailout fund? Is he disingenuous or is he dangerous? That's what I'm trying. Well, he's dangerous either way. Is he disingenuous or totalitarian? Is he trying to maintain power or is he trying to leverage money to himself? What are the interests behind the campaign? Is it conspiracy or is it enrichment? Either way, I'm privy to know. Does Donald Trump think that he's going to make it to a second term, or is that just a pipe dream he offers to his supporters as a way to cope, as an opium of the masses? Like, here's the where was the tweet? I closed out the tab. It was a tweet that said Donald Trump was going to open a church for all of his disassociated followers. Well, Fox News kicked him out. Fox News is no longer going to be as hospitable to Trump's congregation, and so OAN is going to have to take that responsibility now, I presume. Anyway, that's what I would like to. I would like to hear people's opinions on that. Is Donald Trump simply disingenuous, or is he totalitarian? Is he trying to enrich himself, or is he trying to stage a coup d'état to try and maintain power, even though he lost an